So I turned 39 today, and I want to talk about how it really feels. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ministry of Guitar. This is not a guitar video, but this is in keeping in line with this channel. So, I want to talk about 3 or 4 themes that, as I thought about turning 39, that really came to me. Number one, denial. What is denial? Denial is, at least in my case, how I'm experiencing is denial of the passage of youth, denial of the passage of time, denial of the reduction in relevance from a cultural standpoint. And let me expand on each of these. I think it's been well documented that you never actually have a moment when you grow up. You never actually have a moment when you grow old. It just happens to you, and then you look at the person in the mirror and you realize that you're seeing a different person. And for me, just psychologically, how I feel of it literally feels as if I am in my mid-20s. And kind of I look at time that way, and then I realize that when I was in my mid-20s was 15 years ago. It was a different decade. It was the 2000s, not even maybe 2010s also. So it's just very, very unsettling. And it also helps a little bit, or rather it kind of makes a little bit, because for me, at least, the person I see in the mirror is not very different from what the person I saw in the mirror. In fact, the person in the mirror in 2000s was probably a little bit even older looking. So that kind of adds a little bit more to me, because of course I was rather overweight when I was younger, and many other things, right? Fitness, and I think I'm rather much happier now than I was when I was a student. So those are the things that kind of contribute to that. But yeah, it is very interesting to me that it is just difficult for me to comprehend the number of the age that I'm supposed to be. It's just very, very strange. At the same time, one thing that has changed dramatically compared to being in my mid-20s or the whatever it might be, is the loss of innocence. Theme number 2. When you're younger, you're very, very idealistic. You think the world works in a certain way. You think if you do good, you get good. If you do bad, you get bad, so on and so forth. You can change the world, so on. I think the drubbing out rather, of that innocence from you is essentially the process of growing up. The reason why so many good iconic songs are written by young people is because they have not yet experienced that loss of innocence. They are still idealistic. And if I was to think of the biggest difference for me versus 20 years ago, more physically, as I said, the difference is in a different direction. It is psychologically, it is mentally, that I am much, much more realistic, much, much less. I wouldn't say I'm not positive about the world, but yes, I'm much less idealistic about the world and how I think the world works. So that is loss of innocence, theme number 2. Theme number 3 is realization, and realization is realization of mortality. Because when you're young, unless you have had a pretty difficult life or certain poor circumstances, you have not necessarily encountered mortality to a great extent, whether it be in your immediate family or whatever. Of course, some people get orphaned at a young age or whatever, but generally you haven't. But by the time you reach 40, you have encountered mortality in a very, very direct. I haven't reached 40 yet, 39, but you know what I mean. It could be direct family or direct of friends. It could even be certain things that have happened. It could be not being able to do things that you could actually see that change in yourself, because physical peaks are usually in your mid-20s, early 20s. So whatever it might be, I liked how Lars Ulrich described it. Of all people, Lars Ulrich. When you are young, your health is like there's a stream of water pushing you forward. As you get older, that stream becomes slower and slower until it becomes absolutely still. So you have to do all the pushing yourself. And ultimately, it becomes a stream pushing back at you in the other direction. So you have to push just to stay where you are. But he never thought Lars Ulrich would be that poetic. But So it seems to be the case. And what you definitely feel by the time you're 39, even if you are in great shape or better shape than you were at 18, you can feel that stream. You can definitely feel that stream slowing down for whatever reason. And that is where it kind of is an opposing force against the denial that begins, because there's a lot of denial, but then there's the stream slowing down, which kind of contradicts the denial. So that's what you feel as well. So these are the three things that I wanted to lay out. What would I say is very important to know before you're 39, before you turn 39? What is important to know at 29? What is important to know at 19? I think the most important thing to know, and this does not mean that you are greedy or selfish, you need to understand how the monetary system works, the nature of money, and you need to understand how the commercial demand system works, which is the nature of desire and the nature of marrying your desire to material objects. These are the two things you need to understand, because if you understand how money works, you know how to use it to your advantage versus always chasing it. And we've talked about this in other videos on my channel. And if you understand how desire works, or how desire is created, how the system that at least we live in the 21st century is one big advertising campaign in order to grab your attention and get your monies, and then move you on to the next thing to grab your attention, get your money again. If you understand how that works, and you can look beyond the curtain, you can find the wizard fiddling with his strings, that makes your life a whole lot simpler. Those are the two things I wish I also understood better, because not to say that I'm entirely unhappy with my choices, but it would be easier for me to not necessarily have to chase certain things that I did over the course of my life. I apologize if I'm being cryptic here, but it essentially means that what I'm trying to say in a small way is that your salary and the cash in your bank account is not how you gain wealth. There are better ways to do it. Your money has to work for you. And the quality of your life is not necessarily improved by more stuff beyond a certain point. And after a certain point, it just becomes a case of trying to maintain some sort of social signaling that you need to do to other people. Acquiring stuff becomes about that, or it becomes about trying to make up other gaps in your life. So those are the things that I realized, and I wish I would realize them earlier. Not that it was affected my life in a bad way, but I know this now, and I see a lot of people still caught in that trap. Okay folks, this was 39. Let's see what I have to say beyond this, but yeah, see you next time.